Delighted to be here today with Kathrina Bentley, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Men's Aid. So Kathrina, thank you so much for doing the podcast with us as part of the RiVeR Project series of podcasts. So you're the CEO.
Absolutely, yeah. You're very welcome to Men's Aid, Lisa.
Thank
it's your
you.
first trip here
Thank
with
you,
myself,
Kathrina.
so it's lovely to have you here. You're very welcome, and thanks for the opportunity to have a chat with you today and to tell you more about the work of Men's Aid in Ireland and what we do. I'm the Chief Executive, I'm the CEO, and come this January, I'm 5 years in my role.
Where'd that time go?
And it has flown by, and I've loved every minute of it. And I'm very privileged to say that I still jump out of the bed and love coming to work, despite the fact it is a challenging area that we work in.
Yeah.
But when you're surrounded by great people and great colleagues across the whole domestic, sexual and gender-based violence, I think it makes my day job much easier. So we love what we do, and I'd be very proud of the team because I see it and I know it, at face front that we're saving and we're changing lives, and we see the value of what we're doing. So it's a busy role, but it's a great team, and we're a very lucky small organisation, but we love what we do. It's great.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's and
Half the battle.
Oh, it surely is.
Yeah.
And I do. Well, I always believe that people feel that energy. Of people that are enjoying being in the work in the sense of still finding it challenging and
yes,
yet,
and rewarding.
Yeah,
you need that
absolutely.
balance so you have that when you're going home. I suppose where it kind of kicked off over 20 years ago, former colleagues here who are actually working as nurses and frontline in the medical space, they saw male victims coming in at the hospital setting, and they had wounds and injuries that were related to domestic violence. So that's actually how the whole Men's Aid area of helping male victims of domestic violence actually started, was from a frontline nurse,
right,
in a hospital setting. And then I suppose we moved on to back in 2005 when there was a national survey done, and that was in the COSC days, which is nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that national study showed that at least 1 in 4 women and at least 1 in 7 men will experience some level of domestic violence during their lifetime. So I suppose those statistics, and as we know now, nearly 19 years later, it's at epidemic level. It always probably was, but it's certainly more awareness of it. And I suppose that's what Strive gives us, that encouragement and that drive to continue, because we know it's epidemic for men and women, and the impact on the surrounding of the family, grandparents, but obviously in particular the children that are involved when they're experiencing domestic violence in their home. So I suppose 19 years later, here we are, and we're still fighting the fight. But it's really important to keep fighting that fight and bringing the awareness. And I suppose we've supported roughly, I'd say, I can only speak from January of 2020 when I've been in the role. So the first 4 years, I think there's roughly around 32,000 contacts to our service. So we're averaging about 8,000 or 9,000 contacts kind of each year. So it's a busy helpline. Yeah. It's a busy support service. It's a very busy sector in itself. And we're all busy, but we know the importance of it and the value that it brings. So we're very lucky to be doing what we're doing, and we love what we do, and we'll continue to keep looking for funding and more awareness and more campaigns. But I think certainly in the last couple of years while I've been here, in particular the Department of Justice and the steps that has been taken by the Minister has definitely changed things radically and really, sped things up, for want of a better word. And here we are now in 2025 with the launch of, 2024, the launch of Coon, and that'll grow now next year as well. So in the 20 years, we've probably seen the biggest spurt, I would think, in the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
And we also had COVID, just throw that in as well.
Yeah.
So it's been busy, but I think where there's a need and there's a need for value, in terms of supporting victims, and our service is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. When you see the value of people who write back to us later to say thank you, thanks for helping me with that situation, I suppose we know we've added and we've really helped, and that's where it is for us. I suppose this type of role is very much driven on passion and commitment and wanting to
She
help
is.
people. So you're very empathetic, you know, compassionate, considerable, caring sort of personas. So once, you know, we go home each day knowing that we did what we could to help and support. That's the main thing, I think, for myself and the team, of course, you know, and the board of directors as well, you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, it's a good day's work when
it's a good day.
when you know that
You
in
help
some
somebody.
way and like for all the people that we never know that we help.
Yeah, we don't, because obviously a lot of the men we'd never hear back from maybe as to how their journey went, because men would move on sometimes a bit quicker, and they mightn't come back with the feedback, so we just always are hopeful that they're in a safer space and a healthier space, and children are safe first and foremost, you know.
You can only ever do your best, and then
hope. But we're very dedicated, and I think we've over the years we've grown and grown, and I would like to think that we're, you know, we're a safe and a calm and a confidential place to come, you know, and we're about empowering and supporting, and the person makes their decisions themselves, you know. So that's essentially what we're here for. That listening ear, first and foremost, you know.
So important.
So important. You never
That in
know.
itself can be life changing. Just having somewhere to talk.
Yeah, just validating somebody's experience, because I think for us, a lot of the men, when they would come to us, they'll actually have been living with domestic abuse for so long that they wait until it's at a crisis point, and that they're really in that urgent need, and they're really at their wit's end, and it's gone so far maybe as well that they don't know how to come back from it as well. So for us, a lot of the men are living with it, and when I say that, I mean they might be the older person. So we've seen a trend in 2023 and 2024 where the man disclosing to us is over 65, so he's been living with the domestic violence for decades essentially. We even recently had a gentleman, and he was over 90, and he'd been living with domestic violence all his life. So that's what I mean in terms of waiting. There's a lot of, you know, time, kind of key timelines in life. Maybe wait until the children finish school, wait until the kids finish college, wait till the kids are married. There's all these, you know, timelines that sometimes they hold out. So it's a mixed bag, for want of a better word, but there's definitely different trends coming forward in the last year or two. We're learning every day, you know, but thank goodness we're here.
Absolutely. Now you touched on this, you mentioned the helpline and other support services. Could you maybe talk to us a bit more about the various parts of your service and in what way, because we're always conscious when we're doing things like this that oftentimes people are not aware of the various ways in which services work. Some of it is very front facing, but some of it is working quietly to
behind the scenes,
change professions, or not professions, but to support professionals and things like that. So anyway, sorry, I stopped talking and you tell us all about it.
No, I suppose first and foremost, all of our work is victim-centric and victim-focused. So we see domestic violence as a social issue. So we will help any person. We are the only dedicated charity in Ireland that specifically only work with male victims. However, just to say, in Q1 of this year alone, I think we helped 23 women. So just to say, but we are victim focused, victim centric. We're also all very trauma informed. So our approach to it is that it is a social issue, and if anybody rings our helpline, first and foremost, we'll absolutely help them. We do get a lot of calls from mums and sisters as well, and family members and work colleagues. So our approach is if anybody needs help on our helpline or appointments, etc., everyone is welcome to ring us essentially. So that's our approach to it. First and foremost is the helpline in terms of our services, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's because of our funding. I'd love to have it Saturday and Sunday. I'd love to offer after hours. But until our funding increases, we're not in that position just at the moment. So first and foremost is the helpline, and that can be self-referral, or we also get a lot of referrals from social workers and people working in frontline hospital settings, medical settings, on Garda Síochána as well, and also just referrals from, just say as an example, there might be a news item on the 6-1 News, on RT News, and a lot of time RT then put up the helplines, and if that story relates to a male victim, a lot of calls actually come through from people seeing our helpline there as well. So anyone is welcome to ring our helpline. You do not need a referral letter from somebody. We also obviously we refer around ourselves within the NGO sector. So we work closely with Bernardo's from Men's Sheds, Focus Ireland, Aware, Alone, perpetrator programs, the 1 in 4 in particular, this year in particular, between the stories that have broken there. So we receive referrals from our colleagues and our friends in different NGOs, and vice versa. So we're always, I suppose, trying to support the person who rings us to identify where is the best referral point for them to meet their needs. And first and foremost is the helpline. On average, male victims for our service will contact us on average 4 times. Now, you can ring us up to 100 times, it doesn't matter, but on average, the man will ring us about 4 times. And sometimes if they're ringing back again and again, perhaps they need a face-to-face, whereby they can come in with pen and paper and sit down and have a face-to-face, whereby that's through our outreach, and that's in Navan and then in Dundalk and Drogheda as well. And that outreach is there by appointment. There's also the family courts. So family law court days, principally in Dolphin House, which is the family law court in Dublin. We're there 4 days a week, and then we're on the family law court days in Galway for 2 days a week, and Waterford for 2 days a week as well. Again, but we would be making those appointments when you've been in touch with us through the helpline, and we've identified what supports do you need there. It's probably paperwork. Is it application forms, etc.? Is it understanding the legal orders? Is it access, custody, guardianship? Is it domestic violence? What exactly it is. So again, by appointment, those appointments are there, which is a great service. The other areas that we offer as well is the therapeutic services. And for the men, most of the men in our experience will hold back on therapeutic services until the process they've gone through it, because they're dealing essentially with the crisis that they're dealing with at that moment. They're possibly still living in the home, or they're kind of on a sofa surfing, or in a family member's box room, or back with their parents. So they're focusing on that first and foremost, and then when they've completed the process of whatever their specific situation, we then offer counselling, and then we also have support group. So our one-to-one counsellors would be IACP qualified psychotherapists, and then also qualified psychotherapists hold the group support, where the men come together one night a month basically and support each other. So there's the therapeutic supports there as well. They're all based in Navan at the moment, and please God, in 2025 we'll have them an offer available in the Dublin area. And then I suppose the other big area for us is education. So we offer training workshops, and first and foremost, I suppose it's to bring the lived experience of male victims of domestic violence, and we do it through the likes of with yourselves with the DkIT, and we lecture on your level 8. And we lecture as well in Trinity College and UCD. So we're very involved from the education, because that is core. And we also deliver these workshops to any professional working across domestic, sexual, gender-based violence, homelessness, addiction services, mental health, etc. So our workshops are free of charge. We bring our expertise to it. It's all backed by our data that's there as well. So we're giving real life examples. There's a wealth of knowledge on the team here from working frontline with these victims and survivors and their families, and it's really just to bring the awareness and help people have a greater understanding of the dynamics that's involved in a female abuser upon a male victim, because there is differences between a female victim and a male perpetrator, abuser. So we bring that in as well, and that they're available nationwide. We're a small team, so we try and cover as many as we can. We also give workshops to other fellow NGOs, and then when we've our team meeting, as often as possible, we invite an NGO to meet our team here in the boardroom on our team day once a month. So we've met different NGOs and we've swapped information, for want of a better word, so we understand more what Merchants Key Ireland does, what Bernardo's does, etc. So all really kind of working together. in the educational space. We also launched a pilot about 3 years ago in relation to LGBT, same-sex, and understanding the male experience of male-on-male intimate partner violence. So we've just finished our 3rd year of that pilot, and we're going to be gathering that data shortly. And we're also working with a student there, Dr. Aisling Callan from Trinity. So she's doing her PhD is on same-sex intimate partner violence. So I suppose the education piece for us is really key, and bringing in the academic research from worldwide and sharing that with all the audience. The biggest focus for us in the last 3 years for the training has been on Garda Síochána. The reason for that is because there has been specific domestic sexual and gender-based violence teams set up within An Garda Síochána under the Zero Tolerance national strategy. They're called the DPSU units, and by working with the Gardaí, who are obviously very much the front line, the first port of call, or for anybody walking into a Garda station and walking up to the hatch, we have focused very much on working and supporting members of An Garda Síochána and the different areas, of course, An Garda Síochána as well. We've been when they have availability and they can afford on their training day, and within their, I suppose, their own rosters, they're so busy and flat out themselves as well. We attend any request at all. We've always prioritised An Gardaí because they are the ones, responding at a frontline level. And I suppose our other piece for research, again back to education, is our partnership with Trinity College Dublin. So we are involved with Dr. Melissa Corbally for many years, and she's an associate professor. But her passion and her love is very much around domestic violence, because many years ago Melissa started as a nurse in a hospital as well, by coincidence. And it kind of brings even the story of Men's Aid back to the beginning again. That's where Melissa was seeing men coming into the hospital, as well as women who had injuries and associated with domestic violence. But because of the stigma and the shame and the embarrassment, the men would not disclose how they got the various injuries. So we are in a formal partnership with Trinity College, so that all of our data that's here, and it's gone through the ethics boards, etc., that when it's shared through Trinity on behalf of Men's Aid at the European conference, or last year at the conference in Canada, next year, please God, Barcelona, etc., and any talks that we do, that they are backed and they're ethically approved then, and they're evidence-based research, which is vital, hugely important. Absolutely. Hugely. And please God, Melissa will grow her team, and more research will come out, because that essentially they're the golden nuggets to help us and inform us of where the needs are, and the greatest needs are as well, and how we can support the victims, victim-centric. So we really enjoy that. And I suppose quietly in the background on the operations side, I suppose the advocacy and policy. So we're on approximately about 12 panels at government strategic level, where we're representing the experiences of male victims, and we're appointed by the Minister for Justice to give our contribution to the various national campaigns and policy level, and advocate between family law, the court service, the Department of Justice has many different pieces of committees, the DkIT, Legal Aid Board, you name it. We're pretty much on it. Yeah. So it's there's a lot going on in the space, but it's very positive, and it's great that we do feel we're moving forward, which is great, which is really, and it's very interesting, and I hope it gives hope to others, and who are listening today or whenever that this goes live, that there is always hope as well, because that's what we're trying to hold on to, because we see the struggles, and we really understand the dynamics and how difficult it is, in particular for a man to pick up the phone and ring our helpline. We really understand how difficult that is, and just for them to know we're helping 30 and 40 men a day, roughly, so that they're not on their own, and that there is always help and there is always hope.
Yeah, that's such an important message, Kathrina, because it is such a struggle for people that might have been made to feel like they're on their own, and that at times nobody's ever going to believe them, and all of those things that keep people in a situation, and so that's a really powerful message to those who will hear this,
Yeah,
that they're
yeah,
not on their own,
yeah,
and there are people
yeah,
that will bring their expertise and really importantly their empathy and support
yeah,
to them
yeah.
to help them.
I think that's the biggest piece, really, because we've definitely seen in 2024 as well, perhaps more, the mental health type of calls as well, where people are just after COVID, and some people are struggling, that really just one phone call and chatting it out. The most frequent response that we hear is, "I wish I called you sooner. I wish I called you sooner." And I'm like, well, I'm glad you called us. I wish you called us sooner as well, but I'm delighted that you had the courage to call us, because you've shared the load, you've been validated, you don't feel so alone, and then that lifts the weight off their shoulders.
Of course it does.
So I think that's the goal as well. That's the key goal,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
practical level.
I suppose it puts into perspective as well the busyness that you the various
Yeah,
the various roles that you're fulfilling in different areas that are moving this issue forward,
yeah,
but they're also really shining a light on abuse against men
yeah, yeah,
and messaging that out. So I
yeah.
mean, it's such important work, isn't it?
It's
I mean,
really,
responding to people is obviously
yes,
the core work
yes,
of any
yeah,
organisation,
absolutely,
but people don't come if they don't know,
exactly.
or if they're unsure about what you do or how you do
Exactly.
it, or
Yeah.
so.
And I think the stigma as well, I suppose, just in terms of, well, I'm a man, I shouldn't be experiencing domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is only against women. So it's great that we are definitely breaking that down, and that would be even like the support of the local campaigns that we would be part of as well. So Go Purple, which started here in Navan many years ago by our local community guard, the Stacey Luby, and that really has now gone national, from Navan to
Sure
national.
has.
Go Purple, and we get behind that each year, and the seeds are dropping, which is great. And then we joined the HSE with the Men's Health Week in May each year, May or June, and again we're on that panel whereby initially it was usually about encouraging men to go to the GP, get themselves checked, check for heart, check blah, blah, blah. And now we're bringing in the domestic violence element of it there as well, which is brilliant. And we've International Men's Day on the 19th of November every year, and just bringing awareness to that. So layering these things just really, really helps bring, awareness. Pride, of course, every year as well for the LGBT community. So, but that there is abuse in between, in all relationships. It can be there, and family relationships and family violence as well. So I do feel that in the last 5 years we have definitely moved the dial considerably. And please God, it's not as much as a taboo that, when people ask us about what we do, even like domestic violence against men, I go, oh right. Because 5 years ago, if you said I worked in domestic violence against men, it was and now it's a little bit more even accepted in general. So I can even feel it just myself, that there's a less of a, we need that service, because so we've really moved forward, I think, really, really positively. And I think it's definitely a collective. It's not Men's Aid on their own. It's the stakeholders. We're all moving it together. And I think that collaboration is really key, really, really key. Nobody can tackle this issue on their own. It's so complex. There's so many layers to it. And I think there's huge improvements across the board with everyone, and that's really, at the end of the day, we're all saving the lives, regardless of gender. We're all helping and we're all saving.
Absolutely, yeah. And you're right. Like there's no one agency or organisation that can carry all of this.
Not at all.
It has to be a collaborative experience.
Yeah.
But definitely with the changes in the last few years, you can feel it, can't you?
Yeah, I think so.
There's like more openness. There's more willingness to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in like our legislative landscape.
Yes. Yeah, it has really. And I think there was great work done during COVID, as difficult it was, because in the first 3 years between 2020 and 2023, we had a 72% increase in demand, because the government put on hashtag still here, always here, the TV ads, the consent adverts, the sharing of intimate images. The government has so got behind that it's on TV, it's on radio, it's in the newspapers. Like, you
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. We're talking about consent.
Yeah.
You know, so when I see those ads, I feel so proud to go, yes, we're breaking down that stigma. You know, so we've a long way to go, of course, but I think it just, I love seeing when I was in town last week in the bus shelter, and it, you know, the poster was switching from an LGBT poster, and I admired that one, and the next one was the consent, and I just thought, brilliant. So all the work and the hours going in and out of the meetings into the Department of Justice has come to something that's effective and impactful. It's not that we're just going in to sit around a table and have a conversation. There is the ad in the bus stop on Marion Square. So kind of a bit of a little high five. We'll take that. That is brilliant, you know. So, and even there was something, I was chatting to someone last week. We went into, we did an interview. I went into Off the Ball in News Talk.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was really, the Department of Justice put us forward for that because the audience was male. And that kind of football, soccer, that sporting audience, and myself and a colleague, a gentleman from An Garda Síochána went in to talk about it because the helpline, and it was brilliant because the audience was male in terms of please don't share intimate images if you're male or if you're female, and the conversation that I had with most of the people in News Talk, even that day, between sound and in the studio were all men, young lads in their 30s. And the richness of the conversation we even had before we went into for the recording. And even when I left, I just thought, well, great, whoever listens to that, that's brilliant. The service users that contact Men's Aid are between 18 and early 90s. The majority would be that 30, 40 to mid 50-year-old. That would be the majority. We do have a trend in the last 2 years, as I said, that 65 plus, that older man coming forward. That could be because of different reports that have landed at national level and at government level with historical violence and things like that. It could be, but the majority would be that kind of 30, 40, 50-year-old.
Okay, that's very interesting. So that's
kind of the cohort. And then we've definitely had more mums ringing about that 18 to 23-year-old, where they're in their first relationship perhaps, or they've just gone into college, third level, first girlfriend, doesn't know how to break it off. Maybe it's not for him, and is feeling controlled and being threatened with various, you're not going to dump me, I'm going to do something if you do that. Different threats are being made. I'm going to share this image if you dump me, this kind of thing. So we've had a lot of mums contact us concerned about that first relationship for that young boy who's 18 to 23. So, and guiding them through a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship and what it should look like. And of course, you want university and college to be such a positive experience. So I suppose you just never know in terms of what's going on in people's life. In terms of that younger guy who probably saying, oh, everything's fine, in college. The person in their 40s or 50s, everything's grand. That could be your work colleague in work, and it could be your granddad or whatever. So I suppose the main message is we're here and we're here to help anybody. If you're a mum or a dad or a brother or a sister, our data does show that more mums and more sisters ring, actually. That's because they're concerned about brothers.
Yeah,
I'm a sister of two brothers. I think we are deadly. As sisters, we are so proactive. We will pick up the phone. We will go and find and seek the info for the brother, and provide it to him for when he is ready to pick up the phone. You know what I mean, and go on that journey. So our data shows that there's more sisters, and then mums, and then there's brothers and dads, and then there's employers who are concerned about, who might be working in the HR kind of area, and concerned about employees. So bosses would ring us as well, on how to navigate it within the workplace. We've also had a lovely referral. We've a client who's gone through the journey, and he's out the other end, and it was his boss who had copped that he started to go into work really early, and he was staying in work till really late, and he wasn't going home. She had spotted that he looked a bit tardy. His shirt wasn't as ironed as usual at the desk, and the shirt and his tie. She saw that his complexion and his appearance had changed a lot. He had dropped weight, etc. And she called him into her HR office one day as his HR manager and said, do you mind if I ask you, are you okay? Is everything okay? You're first in, you're last out. You're not looking yourself. Can I get you help? Are you okay? and he broke down to his HR manager and said there was domestic violence at home. She gave him our number in the workplace.
That's a fantastic
and he's gone
example.
through a journey, and he had moved back out into his mum's house. He was in the box room, in the spare room, and there was access issues with his children, and he was dying inside. It was the hurt and not seeing his kids at birthdays and Christmas or whatever, etc. And he still thanks that HR manager to this day, because he was not in a good place. So it just shows you how important it is to look out for your work colleagues as well, and what to look for, those little flags. And fair play to his HR manager for just copping the changes.
Fair play.
Are you okay?
Like, there has been a lot of focus on employers of late, particularly because of the
domestic
violence leave.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful, because we spend so much time at work.
Well, a lot of people with your work, they're like a work family. You know what I mean? You're spending more time with them than we are with our partners and our families. So it's nice to think that your colleagues look out for you in the best, with their heart in the right place, not trying to intrude, because everyone has a right to privacy, of course. But if they're not, if your colleague isn't themselves, to say, would you like to go for a coffee?
Yeah.
Do you want to go for coffee? Let's go for coffee. Are you all right? What's going on? Are you okay? Can I help you? And not to be afraid to say, can I help you? Can I get you a support number? What's going on? There's so much support out there, whether it's NGO or HSE or there's so many services. I just think it's very empowering when somebody cops it and helps you. So it's one of many thousands sort of some of the stories that we hear, and I love hearing that feedback when they come through the process, and it was a positive outcome as well, and a healthy outcome for himself and his kids, etc. So just again coming back to where our I suppose we always say there is hope. It can be bouncy, it can be bumpy. This is not domestic violence. Is not an easy thing to go through.
Not a linear road.
It's so traumatic, but we do have the positive stories as well. You know what I mean, and that's really important to hold on to.
Oh, it really is, I think it's really important for the listeners to hear that, and being honest, as you have been there. Sometimes it can be bumpy because being direct with people in that.
Yes.
Is important as well, so that at the first hurdle that they don't perhaps decide against moving forward with the help that they need. But that's such a positive message into those that have used the service, those that will use the service. And really also what I'm kind of taking out of it as well is the pivotal role of the employers, but also those mums, those sisters, those dads, those brothers, those friends that may not realise just how important they are in the scheme of things. And that there's a place for them here too, for ringing, which I don't think everybody would be aware of now, to be honest.
And it comes back to it being a social issue. You see, because it is everybody's business, essentially. If somebody's not doing okay and somebody is a victim of domestic violence, to look out for each other. So when I say a social issue, I then think of a community issue. I think of a family straight away. We all know a mum or a dad or a brother or a sister or a family or a friend who has or is or will be in an unhealthy, toxic, abusive relationship. Sadly, that's where the statistics are heading. That's where they're at the moment. We know it's epidemic levels. So it's great that we can, have the conversations and just encourage that it's not just somebody else's behind somebody's front door and closed and you keep it under the carpet. It's such a social issue that it's literally, in every second or third house, probably in Ireland in some shape or form. And it's not an easy journey whatsoever for all the levels of grandparents and parents and brothers and sisters and etc., and obviously the children. So I hope it's a note of encouragement, that there is hope there, and that people do go through it. It's not nice, but people can come out the other end as well.
I think that's a lovely note to just for us to maybe bring the podcast to a close.
Okay.
But really importantly, I'm going to say, Kathrina, about should somebody need to contact you, what is the best way? So just that we give
Yeah.
that a bit of air there.
So for anybody where, you know, and I suppose when we're talking about domestic violence against men, we understand again how difficult it is and the courage for anybody to pick up the phone. So it's a confidential helpline, it's a safe and it's a calm space to talk on the helpline, and also our appointments, which are face-to-face, is also a very calm and a safe space. So the first point of call is our helpline. It's the 01554 3811 number, and or it's the hello at mensaid.ie, and all our details are on our website on mensaid.ie as well. And I think it's just that encouragement and to give that confidence, that note of confidence to any person who is experiencing an abusive relationship, or if you're not sure, is it an abusive relationship, and if you want to question the red flags, or just if there's something, you know, in your gut that you're not feeling safe, to please just give us a buzz. Everyone is welcome to give us a call, and we're happy to guide you and to give the information. And if another service is the better service, we will refer you there.
That's really wonderful. Before we finish up, is there anything that you didn't get a chance to say that you wanted to?
No.
And remember, we're having a series of podcasts.
We could sit here for 5 hours. I think that's
we will the next time.
I think that's a lovely introduction to Men's Aid, and to the work that we do. And I suppose just in the up and coming shortly is the 19th of November, which is our International Men's Day, and we'll be launching our annual report. And I suppose it's just I don't like giving out numbers and figures because it's data, because we're very aware that there's a person behind that. But we'll be announcing next week about that. Last year we roughly support about 8,500 contacts. So I'm saying that because I want other men to know, whether you're 18 or 90, that every walk of life has availed of our service, from isolated farmers, members of minority groups, LGBT, the younger man who's in 18 to 23, the older man over 65. I think we supported roughly 32 nationalities last year. So it's just to say, domestic violence comes in all shapes and sizes, every town and village across the country. So if you don't think it's something that you could experience, it is possible, and that our service is here for any person from all walks of life and all different ethnic minorities, etc. So just to be aware that our service is here, and we're happy to help in any way we can.
That's wonderful. So Kathrina Bentley,
thank you,
CEO of Men's Aid, thank you so much. That's been a really fantastic insight into Men's Aid and all of the support. So we really appreciate you taking that time with us today. And just, I suppose, what's left really just for us to thank our listeners.
Yes.
So thank you.
Brilliant. And if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to contact us.
Very good.
So there might
would that be at the hello?
At the hello email, yeah, absolutely. And you'll get that on our website as well. If there's any questions after this, yeah.
Brilliant.
Always happy to help.
Thanks, Kathrina.
Yeah, no problem. Great.